A truck driver arrived at a gas station where he received a call from the office and was asked to call a customer. The customer turned out to be a pretty girl who was already being served by another employee, but the driver asked him to come to the phone. His wife was on the phone, but the customer going to the restroom caught his attention more than the phone call. The client put on revealing clothes and tried to seduce the man, but he did not fall for it and went on working. The wife decided to call again, but the client picked up the phone and promised to sleep with her husband. In the end, the girl gets a discount and leaves. The guy rushes home, because if he is not in time, hungry wife will set the house on fire. Upon arriving home, Clint has a hot encounter with his wife. Between the couple, there is a quarrel, and the guy leaves. Full of rage, Angela runs out of the house and throws a brick at her lover, breaking the windshield. But the girl doesn't calm down and takes up an axe. She literally starts chopping up Clint's car with the axe. A neighbor called the police. The girl calls for help. An officer arrives and rushes to help. The cop refreshed the kid with cold water and sitting on a chair and told him about his plight. At the hospital, the officer flirts with the victim. Clint is working hard. The supervisor realizes his condition and decides to let him go home. At home, Clint gets kicked out by his returning wife. Disappointed, Clint drives away, while his wife decides to have fun with a policeman. Clint comes to a bar where he is courted by a waitress in a revealing outfit. The girl gives the guy a key and offers to meet after work. Angela has problems with a cop who is unable to satisfy her. The girl begins to insult her lover, for which she receives a blow in the stomach. A fight breaks out between them. It turns out the cop is sadistic. The girl locks herself in a room, but the mad bull tries to open the lock with a knife, while Angela pours dirt on him and humiliates his manhood. The cop swears to kill her. Finally, he breaks down the door and goes on a rampage against the dirty girl. The man goes on a rampage and gives the poor girl crushing blows in the bathroom and finishes her off by throwing a radio into the water, causing her death and a house fire. The boss attacks Clint. He suspects a guy in Angela's death, takes him out of town, gives him money, and tells him not to come back. Clint catches a hitchhiker and heads west. Shari and Calvin turn out to be very liberated, and the girl tells him about new ways of seduction. Shari starts to actively harass Clint. The man can't stand it and gets out of the car. Calvin decides to deal with Clint for rejecting Shari. A fight ensues. In the end, the couple knocks Calvin out and rob him. But the luck didn't last long, and the bandit is bitten by a poisonous snake. They leave for the hospital in a hurry. When Calvin wakes up, an elderly man arrives to help him. Robbed Calvin wants to punish the robbers. The man brings his new acquaintance to his farm and treats him to milk. And then comes a sexy wife, to whom Clint falls in love. At night, the spouses do their duty without letting Clint sleep. The farmer's wife comes to Clint. She craves the attention of a young man. In the morning, when the guy works, the husband and wife have a blast. While the wife is milking the cow, the guy is working on the hay. The woman tries again to possess the guy, and she gets what she wants. She is so carried away that she did not notice the husband coming up the stairs. A moment later, he caught his unfaithful wife with a new acquaintance. Back to his wife, the farmer slaps her in the face and falls down the stairs onto his own pitchfork. Meanwhile, Clint stumbles into a hotel where he rents a room. The owner of the hotel warns the guy not to even look in the direction of his daughter. As soon as the father left, his daughter immediately takes on Clint. She asks the young man to fix the car and go for a drive, which they do. After finding a secluded place, the girl gets completely naked. But then her father comes upon them. He's armed and wants to kill Clint. The chase begins. Clint is a born racer who has problems away from the old man who is stuck in the sands. Once on the highway, Clint gets into the car of a local laborer. While the father was chasing Clint, the daughter found a bodybuilder and started jumping on him. Clint stumbles into a gas station, the oasis of magical maidens. The gas station attendant is a very nice girl. Clint decides to help her for a tasty burger. Clint decides to leave the gas station and move on. But the girl decides to catch up with him and tries to convince him to stay. She also tells him that her husband died in the war and she has to continue his work alone. They get closer, go for walks, and start working together. One day, a policeman arrives at the gas station who killed Clint's wife. He didn't recognize him without his glasses and helmet. They have a conversation, and the cop invites the guy to dinner. Henry arrives at his shack and picks up the bag of guns and arrives at the motel. At night, Harry comes to the club and watches with envy as the couple in love dance. In the morning, Clint stops by Harry's place. They have a fishing trip planned. Harry refuses to go and decides to carry out his devious plan. He calls Clint's girlfriend and fraudulently asks her to do him a favor and pick him up. Harry calls Clint on the radio and tells him that he has taken his girlfriend hostage. Harry's goal is to ruin Clint's personal life and deprive him of his new lover. When Clint arrives at the cone where his girlfriend is chained at the top, Gary starts throwing explosives. He handcuffs the girl to himself. There is a scuffle between them. After that, Gary leaves the girl on the ground as bait. He climbs to the top and guards Clint. The obsessed killer tries to kill the guy with explosives, but he fails and goes on the run. Gary decides to blow up Clint's girlfriend. The guy rushes to save the girl and falls into Gary's trap. He gets wounded, but keeps crawling and saves his love. Gary can't stand it and starts beating Clint. He puts an explosive between his thighs. Luckily for the poor bastards, the dynamite is defective. Gary backs off and gets a safe distance away and blows himself up with his dynamite.